There's a harsh truth that most people avoid. And it's this pain is not a punishment. It's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. In fact, pain is one of the clearest indicators that you're in motion, that you're growing, that you're moving beyond where you've been. It's a signal, not of defeat, but of transformation. Yet, so many people interpret it as a reason to stop. The world has conditioned us to crave comfort, to seek ease, to believe that if something hurts, it must not be right for us. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Think about your body for a second. When you go to the gym and lift weights, what happens? They tear, they stretch, and then they rebuild stronger, not weaker, not the same, stronger. That discomfort is the process. That burn is the signal that progress is happening beneath the surface, even when it doesn't feel good. The same applies to your life. Emotional pain, financial struggle, heartbreak, rejection. They're all part of the training ground. Pain doesn't mean you're cursed. It means you're called. Called to step into more. Called to grow into the version of yourself you haven't met yet. You can't reach that version without walking through the valley. You can't appreciate the summit unless you've crawled through the storm. People want the success without the suffering. They want the reward without the risk. But growth doesn't come with a receipt. It comes with a cost. And that cost is usually paid in discomfort, uncertainty, and yes, pain. But once you realize that pain isn't the enemy, you stop trying to avoid it. You start learning from it. You start using it. When your back is against the wall, when you've been told, 100 times, when doors keep closing and your hope starts to wear thin, that pain you're feeling isn't telling you to give up. It's asking, how bad do you want this? It's asking if you're willing to become uncomfortable long enough to find out what you're really made of. Think of every major shift in your life. It likely didn't start with joy. It started with discomfort. Maybe it was the loss of a job, a betrayal, an illness, a dream that collapsed, something that pushed you out of your comfort zone and into the unknown. And in that moment, you had a choice. Stay broken or break through. That's the real pain. The kind that comes when you decide to rise in the middle of chaos. Pain sharpens your perspective. It shows you what matters. It forces you to strip away the things you thought you needed and cling to the truth of who you really are. It's not there to destroy you. It's there to reveal you. It's easy to say, I'm strong, when everything's going well. But when the rug is pulled out, when the world seems to forget your name, when you're crying behind closed doors, and no one knows how close you are to giving up, that's when your strength is tested. That's when your character is forged. That's when you find out whether you're going to stay stuck or stand up. And make no mistake, standing up doesn't always look powerful. Sometimes it's shaking. Sometimes it's slow. Sometimes it's silent, but it's still a stand. It's still a decision. And that decision to keep moving through the pain is where transformation begins. If you're feeling pain right now, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're becoming. Becoming more resilient, more focused, more intentional, more capable. You don't get to the next level by skipping the struggle. You get there by walking through it with fire in your heart and vision in your mind. There's a moment in every person's journey where life feels like it has collapsed inward. Like the weight of failure, rejection, or disappointment is so heavy, it has pulled you underground. People disappear. Plans fall apart. Your vision fades. You feel surrounded by darkness, uncertainty, and silence. And in that moment, it's easy to believe you've been buried, forgotten, dismissed, left behind. But what if that darkness wasn't a grave, but a garden? The truth is, The feeling of being buried and the process of being planted are almost identical. The difference is in what comes next. Both begin with being pushed down, covered up, and hidden from view. But planting carries purpose. Planting holds the promise of growth. Seeds are not destroyed when they're covered. They're activated. This shift in perspective is powerful. If you see yourself as buried, you'll stop growing. You'll suffocate in the soil. But if you realize you've been planted, everything changes. You begin to understand that the darkness you're experiencing isn't the end. It's the beginning of something unseen, something sacred. Pressure doesn't mean punishment. It means preparation. Every dream, every breakthrough, every evolution starts in obscurity. It starts with silence. It starts with isolation. But just because no one can see your progress doesn't mean it isn't happening. Roots grow before branches. The foundation forms before the fruits appear. The process may not be visible, but it is vital. When you're planted, the environment feels restrictive. You're surrounded, limited. You can't see a way out. But just like a seed, you're developing something that doesn't need the spotlight yet. It needs depth. It needs endurance. It needs to anchor itself so that when it finally breaks through the surface, it can stand tall against the wind and weather. Without those roots, any growth above ground would collapse. So many people give up during their planting season because they confuse hiddenness with failure. But you don't need applause to be growing. You don't need recognition to be becoming. What's happening in the soil, in the silence, is what will sustain you when the pressure of success comes. Because yes, success brings pressure too. But if you've been through the darkness, if you've survived the weight of silence and still found a way to reach toward the light, then no storm will break you. The soil may be dark, it may be cold, it may be filled with resistance, but it is also rich. It is also necessary. There's nourishment in the very environment that feels uncomfortable. The loneliness, the loss, the trials, they're feeding something inside you. They're sharpening your vision, strengthening your character, clarifying your purpose. And sometimes you won't even know you're growing. Some seeds take longer to break through. Some plants stay under the surface for weeks, even months, before there's any visible sign of life. But what's happening underground is never wasted. The longer it takes, the deeper the roots. The deeper the roots, the stronger the rise. You might feel forgotten right now. You might feel like your work, your pain, your efforts have gone unseen. But you are not invisible. You are not disposable. You are not buried. The pressure you feel is not closing in to crush you. It's pushing you to expand, to break open, to dig in, and eventually to rise. There's a version of you on the other side of this soil that is bolder and more grounded than you've ever been. That version doesn't grow in the sunshine alone. It's born in the dirt, in the silence, in the stillness. That version is forming right now, beneath the surface, waiting for its moment to emerge. You haven't been left behind. You're just in the part of the process where the world can't see what's coming yet. And that's okay. Because when you finally rise, it won't be a weak sprout that bends with the breeze. It will be something solid, something real, something deeply rooted that nothing can shake. In every life, there comes a point where decisions weigh heavier than circumstances. The world may throw chaos your way. You might be facing setbacks, disappointments, betrayals, even failure so sharp it feels like a scar instead of a lesson. But none of those things, no failure, no loss, no hardship, have the final say. What does? The choices you make in response. Your decisions. That's what defines your direction. That's what shapes your future. Destiny is not written by chance. It's carved by choice. It's easy to believe that our lives are determined by what happens to us. that where we come from, what people think of us, or how many times we've fallen somehow decides what we're allowed to become. But that belief keeps people stuck. It convinces them that the power is out there somewhere outside their control, in the hands of fate, luck, or the approval of others. But the truth is, the most powerful force in your life is your ability to choose. Choose who you become. Choose how you respond. Choose whether you rise again or stay where you fell. Every time you say yes to pushing forward when quitting seems easier, you change your direction. Every time you say no to fear, to doubt, to the voice in your head that says, you can't, you are stepping into a new version of yourself. You are proving that your decisions are stronger than your emotions, stronger than your circumstances, stronger than your history. Your destiny is not waiting for everything around you to change. It's waiting for you to decide that you will change, that you'll no longer be a victim of your past or your pain, that you'll choose discipline over distraction, vision over fear, purpose over comfort. Every great life is the result of 1,000 small, often unseen decisions. The decision to get back up one more time. The decision to speak life when all you feel is despair. The decision to act when you're tired, to show up when no one's watching, to believe when no one else does. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes it's as quiet as deciding not to quit today. Sometimes it's choosing to believe in yourself even when the evidence says you shouldn't. But those quiet moments are where futures are formed, not in the spotlight, in the stillness, in the silence, in the decision to keep going. There are people with less talent, fewer resources, harder lives, who still win, who still rise, who still change their story. Why? Because they made a decision, not a wish, not a hope, a decision. And once you truly decide, you stop negotiating with your limits. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for the perfect moment because you realize this moment is the one that counts. This moment right here is where destiny begins. Too often, we wait for motivation. We wait for clarity. We wait to feel ready. But readiness doesn't precede the decision. The decision comes first, and then readiness shows up. It's when you commit, when you draw the line and say, I'm doing this no matter what, that things begin to shift. Not because the world changes, but because you do. And let's be clear, it won't always feel good. The right decision is rarely the easiest. It will require sacrifice. It will demand consistency. It will challenge you to become someone you've never been before. But if you want something you've never had, you have to decide to become someone you've never been. That kind of change is uncomfortable, but it's also where the magic is. There will always be moments when your feelings try to override your focus. Days when fear sounds louder than faith. That's when your decision matters most. You don't rise to the level of your feelings. You rise to the level of your decisions. What you decide in your lowest moment carries more weight than what you feel in your highest. You are not at the mercy of your environment. You are not stuck. You are not powerless. You are one decision away from a completely different life. A decision to fight. A decision to believe. A decision to become. Because every time you choose purpose over panic, courage over comfort, progress over perfection, you are writing the next chapter of your story. There's a moment in every journey where quitting feels like the only option. The dream seems too far, the fight feels too heavy, and the voice inside your head starts whispering that maybe you're just not built for this. Maybe it's not meant for you. Maybe you've tried enough, cried enough, sacrificed enough. And that moment, right there, is when everything hinges on one thing: your refusal to quit. Refusing to quit doesn't mean you're not tired. It doesn't mean you have it all figured out. It doesn't mean you're smiling through the storm. It simply means you've made a choice to keep showing up even when it hurts, even when the odds look impossible, even when the progress feels invisible, because giving up is easy. That's the default. That's what most people do. When things don't work out on the first try, the second try, or even the 10th. But refusing to quit, that's what separates the dreamers from the doers, the ones who talk from the ones who build. It's not about being the strongest, the smartest, or the most talented. It's about being relentless. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who never failed, who refuse to let failure be the final chapter. They faced rejection, judgment, poverty, loss, humiliation, and they kept moving. They adjusted, they learned, they adapted, but they never stopped. There's a false belief that when things get hard, it's a sign to turn back. That struggle is a signal you're on the wrong path. But in truth, it's usually the opposite. Resistance shows up when you're pushing towards something real. Struggle is often a sign that you're closer than you think. That breakthrough is just beyond the breakdown, but you'll never know if you quit. You'll never find out what you're capable of if you only fight when it's easy. Quitting may bring short-term relief, but it comes with long-term regret. The pain of trying and failing is nothing compared to the pain of wondering what could have happened if you had just kept going. That kind of pain lingers. It stays with you. It shows up in moments of stillness, in silence, in dreams that still try to breathe through the weight of your doubts. But when you refuse to quit, something powerful happens inside you. You start to become someone new, someone who can be trusted with bigger opportunities, someone who can carry greater responsibility, someone who's proven to themselves that they can be counted on, especially by their own reflection in the mirror. Every time you refuse to quit, you build grit. And grit is stronger than hype. Grit keeps going long after motivation has faded. It shows up when the excitement wears off. It's what wakes you up early, keeps you focused, and reminds you that your goals don't care how you feel. They care what you do. Refusing to quit is not about perfection. It's not about always getting it right. It's about showing up broken if you have to. Showing up confused, scared, unsure. Just showing up, because consistency beats intensity every time. A little progress made every single day will always outperform a perfect plan that you only follow when life is convenient. And life is rarely convenient when you're building something meaningful. You may cry, you may question yourself, you may even pause. But pausing isn't quitting. Resting isn't quitting. Reevaluating your strategy isn't quitting. The only way you lose for real is if you walk away from your own future. Everything else is just part of the path. Refusing to quit means you've stopped waiting for the right time. You've stopped looking for easy roads. You've accepted that growth is hard, success is earned, and greatness requires endurance. Not just excitement on the first day, but faith on the hard days. Not just passion when the crowd's watching, but persistence when no one claps. The people who win in the end are not the ones who started fastest. They're the ones who kept going longest. The ones who got knocked down but didn't stay down. The ones who didn't let failure steal their fire or setbacks make them settle. Because at some point, it's not about how you feel. It's about what you've decided. And when you've decided to refuse to quit, the outcome may be delayed, but it will never be denied. Victory doesn't begin with a win. It doesn't begin with the finish line or the trophy or the moment when everything finally falls into place. It begins long before that, quietly, internally, sometimes even in the middle of defeat. Victory starts in the mind. It's not a reward you get at the end of the road. It's a posture you choose at the beginning. It's not determined by how many times you've succeeded, but by how deeply you believe you will. There are people walking around every day who haven't technically won yet. No medals, no money, no fame, no validation from the outside, but they are already victorious because of how they think. And there are others who appear successful, who have the appearance of winning on the surface, but inside they're losing. They doubt themselves constantly. They live in fear. They feel like frauds. That's because true victory isn't external. It's internal. It's built from belief, fueled by perspective, and solidified through repeated, intentional thinking. Victory is not the absence of failure. In fact, it often grows right out of it. Every setback you face is a test, not of your skill, but of your mindset. When things go wrong, when plans fall apart, when people disappoint you or life throws you off course, the question is never just, what will you do? It's, what will you think? Because how you interpret your struggle determines how you walk through it. If you see failure as a sign to stop, you lose. But if you see it as a lesson, a step, a necessary part of the climb, then even in the loss, you're still winning. Victory is also not a one-time decision. It's a mindset you must renew daily. It's choosing again and again to believe in your capacity, your purpose, and your resilience. The world will not always affirm you. People won't always cheer for you. Outcomes won't always go your way. But if your mind is set, none of that can unseat you. When you've decided deep down that you are not what happens to you, you are what you choose to believe and act on, then you've already won a battle most people never face. Your thoughts have power. The voice inside your head narrates your life, shapes your reality, and either builds you up or breaks you down. If that voice is telling you that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy of success, it becomes nearly impossible to push forward with strength. But when that voice is trained, disciplined to speak truth, hope, and power, then even in the darkest moments, you remain grounded. You don't have to wait for success to start thinking victoriously. That's one of the biggest lies people believe, that once they've made it, then they'll think differently. But it works the other way around. You think differently first, and that's what leads you toward the breakthrough. Every achievement, every transformation, every dream fulfilled was first imagined, believed in, and mentally rehearsed long before it ever happened in the real world. The body follows the mind. Action follows belief. So if you want to change your outcome, you have to start by changing your mindset. Having a victorious mindset doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you refuse to be defeated by it. It means acknowledging the struggle, but refusing to surrender to it. It means facing the facts, but choosing not to let those facts limit your faith. It's standing in the middle of chaos and saying, I still believe something good is coming out of this. That's power. That's real victory. And it's not something you're born with. It's something you build. It's something you decide to train just like a muscle. Every time you choose hope over hopelessness, every time you challenge your limiting beliefs, every time you speak possibility in the face of doubt, you're reinforcing the mindset of victory. It becomes part of who you are, not just when things are going well, but especially when they're not. You don't become victorious by waiting. You don't become victorious by being lucky. You become victorious by deciding that nothing, no matter how hard, no matter how long it takes, will cause you to think small, live small, or settle for less than you were created for. Victory is not a destination. It's a decision you make and a mindset you keep regardless of the odds. Here will be moments in life when everything in you wants to give up. When pain presses in, when progress feels invisible, when hope is hanging by a thread. But those moments aren't there to stop you. They're there to shape you. Because pain is not your enemy. It's the proving ground. It's the teacher. It's part of the process that prepares you for more than you ever imagined possible. When life feels like it's closed in on you, when you're hidden in the dark and no one sees your effort, remember, you are not buried. You are planted. And planted things don't die. They grow quietly, deeply, until the day they rise with strength that was formed beneath the surface. The dark isn't your defeat, it's your development. You are not the sum of what's happened to you. You are the sum of what you decide to become. And your decisions carry more weight than your circumstances ever will. It's not about waiting for life to give you permission. It's about giving yourself the command to keep moving forward, no matter what. And yes, it will get hard. But hard doesn't mean impossible. Refuse to quit. Refuse to listen to the voice that says, this is as far as you go. Because you weren't made to give in. You were made to rise again and again and again until the storm breaks or you break through it. All of this, every step, every trial, every tear, is building not just your story, but your mindset. And that mindset is your foundation. Victory doesn't wait at the end of the road. It begins when you choose it. It begins when you believe in it. It begins now. No matter how bad it is. No matter how bad it gets. You're going to make it.